West Virginia on December 7, 1940. And I was getting ready to go to the California to go to church on Sunday morning, December 7th. And a friend of mine, Jimmy Gleason from Dallas, came running in. I was on the 4th Division, and he came running in and said that the Japs are attacking me. About that time, I looked out of the porthole. I was on the 4th, on the main deck, in the 4th Division on the port side of the ship, and I looked out of the porthole, and sure enough, I could see these planes dropping torpedoes. And we took, I think, 8 or 9 aerial torpedoes on the port side, and started capsizing. And decks probably, yes.
Probably.
Down. See, they were all hitting below. We were in shallow water, at 35 feet of water.
Right.
But
there were probably a few.
They developed special torpedoes, aerial torpedoes, that would run shallow and do the damage. We were moored outboard of the Tennessee, battleship Tennessee. And of course, Tennessee didn't get any damage at all, but they couldn't go anywhere because we were sunk right next to her, so she couldn't move out. But we were capsizing, and they counter-flooded, which means bringing in seawater on the starboard side to counter-flood, and they settled in 35 feet of water on a level keel. And well, the first thing they sounded was fire and rescue. And then halfway through fire and rescue, they changed it to general quarters because they could see it wasn't, first it was fires on Fort Island, and they were going to send a fire and rescue group to Fort Island to help quench the fire. The rescue station was the same. So I was already at my station there when fire and rescue, general quarters sounded, because I was going there because of the fire and rescue. And the next thing I know, pipes were bursting above me all around, and the floor was getting slippery. And the last thing I can remember is, well, I just don't remember anything after that. So the next thing, I don't know, I slept through the whole war, the battle, because, not through the whole thing, but after that I don't remember anything because I was out. The bomb came down through and killed the skipper on the bridge, our captain, Binion. He was killed on the bridge, and that same bomb was the one that came down and threw me somewhere, and I was out, and I was piled up. They told me I was piled up with a bunch of dead bodies, and after the battle was over, they were going through and removing the dead bodies, and one guy said, "This guy's still alive." So they sent me to the hospital ship Solus, and a dentist sewed me up, and because there weren't any doctors available, they were operating. So the dentist sewed me up, and I never did find out who he was, but he did a good job. And what they do is train, and they, and then you come back into port.
I think.
But that, I went back a year later. They brought the ship up, and I went aboard the ship, and the place where I was standing, it was still there. But right next to it, for 105 feet, there was no deck.
Oh my gosh.
That's what the bomb did. That's what got me. When that bomb came down and did that damage, I don't know where it threw me. The last thing I can remember is pipes bursting, oil, gas, water, steam, everything above me was coming down. The deck was getting slippery, and but I wasn't exposed. I was on this main deck, with overhead and walls around me. But then this bomb, it did something, and of course, I got a concussion out of it.
And after
they brought in some guys from the Oklahoma. And of course, the Oklahoma capsized, and these guys had been they lost all concept of time. They weren't hungry or anything. They thought it was just a few hours, but it was 2 days. If they had worked their way from the ship up to the point where they were pounding on the hull, and they could hear them outside, and they cut a hole in it.
Yeah.
That's the way they rescued those guys. And but they thought they were, they thought that they were in there a few hours, that they were in there 2 days. Because that adrenaline, you don't have any need for food, drink, or anything. You're just trying to survive.
Right.
And they lost all concept of time, but it was actually days. They lost days out of their life.
Said, well, it happened to me.
These are actual pictures taken.
Yeah, while we were underway in the Pacific, and with things that and of course we were detached. We were called a one-ship fleet. The Salt Lake was sent to Australia to train New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand, and Hobart Navy how to recover aircraft underway. The English had no way of recovering their aircraft while the ship was moving. And so we had to teach them how to do it, and also how to fight night battles. And here's just some shots of, here's some more. This picture is one of the most famous pictures. I think it's even in this, book. Yeah, see that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take Salt Lake. That was U.S. Salt Lake City. Yeah, that was taken on our way. Well, that was, I don't know which battle that was, whether it was that was probably Marshall and Gilbert.
Did you take these pictures?
No, but I bought them from the guy that did take them.
Okay.
And the skipper, I'll show you in here why the skipper, on the 16th of December, or is that the 10th? I get it.
Tell the camera what this is.
This is the postal telegraph sent from Admiral Nimitz on December 16th, saying that I was lost in action.
Lost in action.
Performance of his duty in the service of his country, and the body, if recovered, will be interred temporarily in the locality where death occurred, and you will be notified accordingly. Yeah. And
now I don't know if you can find it or not, but in there's a picture of your memorial service.
that was,
Where were you on?
I was piled up. I was on the starboard side, piled up with a bunch of dead bodies,
Yeah.
and they said that that was on Thursday, December 18th, 1941.
When they declared you dead.
No, that's when they had funeral service.
They had the funeral service,
Yeah, they
December 18.
Memorial. They didn't have the body there. And then this is the Western Union that they received on December 20th, saying they're pleased to advise that your son, Lewis, Seaman First Class U.S. Navy, previously reported as lost, is now reported as a survivor but wounded. The extent of his wounds is not now known, but any future reports on his condition will be communicated to you when received. It is hoped he will experience a speedy recovery. The unnecessary anxiety caused you is exceedingly regretted. How typical. Yeah. But then, of course, Sid can tell you about this battle up in off the
Komandorski
article is in the Saturday Evening Post.
Yeah.
I don't know what the date was. I think it was March. April. But it was called My Speed Zero by John Bishop. And it tells the story of how we fought a retiring battle for 3.5 hours. We were running from the Japanese, zigzagging from the Japanese superior force. We had one heavy, one light, and 4 destroyers there. And they had 2 heavies 2 lights and 6 destroyers. We picked them up early in the morning, went to general quarters, and stayed there. That was the longest continuous naval battle in modern naval history. 3.5 hours battle, yeah. But it was ship to ship, see. Most of them had aircraft. We had no aircraft involved in that at all. This was up in the Aleutians off the Russian. We were heading for the Russian islands, Komodorsky Islands, and the Japs were behind us. So we were being chased by the Japanese at